Hey there, Skullheads. I'm Snags,
And I'm Ol Silky.
and we're gonna get into tonight's episode. But before that, we have to pimp the website, snagsandsilky.com. Get your Snags and Silky merch. Buy everything on there. You got to buy a hoodie. You got to buy a shirt. You got to buy a decal. You
And a
got to buy
mug.
a mug.
Buy
You got to
two
buy all of
mugs.
it. And we got three different designs of all that shit. So if you don't check out in that cart with 12 items, you're a loser.
Yeah. Um, you just got to do it.
You
Christmas is
got
coming
to.
up. You
Yeah,
know,
Christmas is just around the corner, man. Come on.
I mean,
Not
you know,
not to mention your
what?
your mother's birthday. I
Labor
mean, you
Day's
got
in September, right?
yeah, you got to buy that stuff, man.
Yeah.
Now, St. Patrick's Day right
St.
around the
Patrick's Day
corner.
is coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, snagsandsilky.com. Also, you get the click pit there where we drop all the cool links to all the cool shit we talk about in these episodes.
Yeah,
So,
there's
snag
playlists, expanded playlists for
yeah.
every band that we've profiled on the show. um, with the idea that you get into the band maybe from hearing our show and you want to check out what are the essential songs. It's right there for you.
Yeah, we couldn't make it more convenient, and we deserve to get rich off of that because that's a lot of
Yeah.
work.
It is.
And
It's a lot of work.
yeah, and here's the other
So
thing: we got links to movies we talk about, links to books we talk about. We got all of it. Our script that we wrote. If you go into the links to the books, it's buried down there somewhere. I should probably put it front and center. That's on Amazon.
yeah,
So
I mean, somewhere there's a director who just needs a script. Well,
yeah, it's called
it's right
Sink or
there.
Swim. SinkerSwim. Look it up. Sink or Swim book on Amazon, written by our alter ego Cyrus Bunker, which
Yeah.
is us.
So there you have it.
All right, so I think we pimped pretty much everything, right? Anything
Yeah.
else we got to pimp?
No.
We're good.
Let's
All
get
right,
into tonight's
all right.
episode.
Tonight's episode, we are going to be talking about the twisted world of Crispin Hellion Glover, who he is a Gen X cat like us, and almost as cool as us. And he was an actor that we just loved his acting chops when we were growing up. That dude, he was one of the weirdest cats on the planet. Always entertaining to watch. So, and he's
Yeah.
still around. He's in something Gods right now, American Gods, that
American
TV show.
Gods, but
Yeah.
he was in Wild at Heart. He played Andy Warhol in The Doors.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
he
We're
was
gonna
in
cover.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Dead Man. That was a good one.
He was in all kinds of stuff. We're gonna cover all that stuff. I got a few of his movies. I'll do a little bit of small deep dives on that I think really where they were basically written for him. But
Oh yeah,
we're basically gonna just look at his filmography and talk about his career, and you're gonna be entertained and you're gonna like it. So
yeah. I wanted to add real quick. His father, Bruce Glover,
oh yeah, we got to talk about Bruce.
was he was an actor, best known for he played Mr. Wint in Diamonds Are Forever. Um, there was a great James Bond movie that had these two hitmen, which I wish those characters had been in a few more. They would have played a good, um, reason for James Bond to be looking over his shoulder. But yeah, Bruce Glover was Mr. Wint, but it is a very crucial seed to Crispin Glover going on to play these odd characters because his father certainly played quite a few.
Yeah, his father was in some black exploitation flicks. He was a kind of a heavy a thug in Chinatown, or a cop. I forget what's the difference really, but um,
Right.
he was in Chinatown, and anytime you're watching a movie from the '70s and it looks like a slightly less anemic Crispin Glover, check the credits because uh, it was probably Bruce Glover.
Yeah, he was in that Jim Brown, Martin Landau movie, Black Gun,
Yeah, 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 yeah. That was a good one. I
with
saw it.
Bernie Casey. Great movie.
Yeah. All right. So Crispin Glover, his weird son, who just always seems like he's on LSD. Uh, well, if you want a quick introduction to Crispin Glover, some people listen to these podcasts. They're hip to what we're laying down, and some people listen to it because their lives have not been blessed with the coolness of ours, and they're just not hip to this stuff, and they listen to us to get educated.
But hanging on what to check out next,
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
And so, for a quick introduction to Crispin Glover, just search Crispin Glover Letterman on YouTube, and you can see his appearance when he's on David Letterman. And he totally seems like he's tripping on acid. At one point, he's got these big platform shoes on. He gets up and he starts drop kicking Letterman like inches from his head.
Yeah,
And Letterman's like, "Oh, we're going to a commercial," and they come back and they just Crispin's gone, and they don't say anything about
yeah. But
it.
Letterman was famous for things like that. I mean, I watched
Andy
Letterman
Kaufman,
religiously
yeah,
for moments like that.
yeah,
Um, but I would say most people are going to know Crispin Glover from playing George McFly in Back to the Future. Um,
yeah. And he was a bad guy in Charlie's Angels. Those are probably his
yeah.
two most famous roles. Yeah,
And then you had apparently he was in the first two Back to the Futures, and then the third one. What was the deal? Snags.
he was in the first Back to the Future, and they filmed the second and the third one in the same production
Okay.
cycle. And they wanted him to come back. And by that time, I think he was just too cool for Back to the Future. He was doing some really artsy stuff, and he didn't want to do it. And maybe they didn't want to pay him enough. I don't know. But so they hire another actor, and they use prosthetic makeup to make him look like Crispin Glover. And Crispin Glover sued them for using his likeness without his permission. It's a whole to do there. But his just looking at his filmography, his very first movie is My Tutor, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of those uh, teenage sex comedies where you've got the teenage high school kid who's got a sexy tutor, and uh, the film focuses on high school graduates Matt Latanzi and Crispin Glover as they attempt to lose their virginity during their summer vacation, and then one of them ends up banging the tutor. So, who's played by Karen Kay. So, I don't. I think I saw that one at Lenox Square in Atlanta when I was 14. I would have been 14 when that came out. Very much, very
Yeah.
much in the mood to see a movie like that, and
We snuck into those types of movies all the time.
yeah, yeah, they're always rated R, and you'd always,
Rated R for like 15 seconds of somebody's boobies. Like,
yeah, and so
really?
you buy a ticket for a PG movie and then just slip into the R-rated movie.
Yeah.
So, Racing with the Moon, not sure what that one. American drama. Oh, Sean Penn, Elizabeth McGovern, and Nicolas Cage. Huh, that
Yeah.
should be worth checking out.
Yeah.
Racing with the
With
Moon.
that lineup.
Yeah,
At Close Range, he was in that. Um,
yeah. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which of
yeah, I
course
remember
wasn't
him in
the
that.
final chapter. Teachers, which is another one of those comedies. Oh,
Yeah.
Ralph Macchio was in Teachers, so he's hitting the big leagues.
Yeah. And Teachers, that was the big 38 special had that song Teachers.
Oh,
That was their,
the watered down Leonard Skinner had a
yeah,
song in that.
they were kicking down,
The watered down
mad sales with that Teachers soundtrack.
pop music writing Leonard
38
Skinner.
special, brother. They
He
had some
was
good song. Chain Lightning's a badass tune.
uh-huh. Anyways, so there's a documentary called the Beaver Trilogy that he was in that has Sean Penn, Crispin Glover, and some other people. That is on YouTube. If you look up the Orkley Kid or the Beaver Trilogy, that's on YouTube. Maybe we'll drop the links to some of that in the click pit. Back to the Future at Close Range. That's Sean Penn.
Yeah, I
Um,
would. At Close Range is a really great movie.
yeah.
Sean Penn and Christopher Walken. That's just a good night at the movies with that one.
So then we get to River's Edge, and that one we both watched recently, and he's basically what is he, a meth head in that?
Yeah,
Speed
River's
freak.
Edge is
Speed freak.
about a kind of disturbed teenager, high school, who is out at the water with his girlfriend, and I don't know that he set out to, but um, towards the end of their evening or whatever, together out there by the water, he decides to just choke her out, mainly to see what it would be like, and as he chokes her to death and kills her is like the first time he's felt alive in his life, and so he's like really happy about what he's done. But then, he goes and brings his friends to see the body, and it goes from there, and you kind of have a subplot of a really disturbed, dysfunctional family. um, Keanu Reeves' character and his younger brother, who, bizarrely, when you first see the movie, you're almost wondering if it's a girl, uh, with hair all cropped badly, but it is a boy who went on to direct, and you've actually seen him in some movies as an older guy, but in that in River's Edge is this subplot going on. But the main focus of the movie, I really felt watching it much older, and I loved the movie then, but watching it uh, now, um, it felt like it is exactly what teenagers would do. Um, I'm reminded years back, walking to school one morning, and me and my friend Chuck are walking to the bus stop, and we're probably still like 4 or 5 blocks away, but we're walking up this hill. And as you're walking, you're talking and looking ahead because you're walking up the sidewalk, and Atlanta's famous for uneven sidewalks. But we see this homeless guy walk across the street and get hit by a car, and the guy literally launched up into the air over the vehicle and came
Jesus.
down to the ground. And Chuck and I didn't even comment on it. We were still talking about whatever. And then when we finally got up to that intersection, we were like, oh my God, we saw that back there. And then we look, and then the bus is coming. So we get on the bus. And I didn't think about that guy again until we got off the bus at the end of the day, step out and be like, oh man, remember that guy got hit by the car right there. So it's the same kind of just
Delayed reaction.
teenagers,
Yeah.
well, just delayed react, but teenagers are in their own world, and so the logical response of, your friend says, "Hey, come see this dead body. Yeah, I killed her last night." Logical response, "Oh my God, what you know?" And you don't quite see that in this movie, and it's I think it's written very well because that's I believed it. I believe that what went on in that movie is to those characters, it was a natural reaction to what they end up doing in the movie.
I concur. Um, it and I mean, not every teenager would react that way, but there's also this thing of Crispin Glover's character. He's this crazed speed freak who listens to speed metal, and just this is the first movie where he really gets to be Crispin and do
Yeah.
his crazed
Um,
Crispin thing, and he's leading the charge to protect. We lost what's her name, but our friend who killed her is still here, and we got to protect him and leading the charge
right.
to cover it up, and
Yeah.
the reason that we went to see that movie when it came out, so this would have been 1986, where I was 17, I think you were like 16.
Yeah.
We're in high school, and we were big fans of Dennis Hopper. We watched Easy Rider and
Blue Velvet.
Blue Velvet, yeah, and
Yeah.
we hear Dennis Hopper is in this movie River's Edge, where he plays a one-legged biker who lives with a blow-up doll.
Yeah, and that might have been the only reason we went to see it.
We were like,
To be
I remember
honest with
you, me, and our friend Alan were just sitting around in acting class in high school, going, "We have got to see this movie."
you.
You know,
Yeah. I
so
mean, it came out like summer of '87.
so you go and you get the added bonus of discovering Crispin Glover. It was awesome. It's a great flick. It's on Amazon. We'll drop the link in the click pit for this
Yeah,
one.
and the a huge thing about this movie was the soundtrack. Brian Slagel, who is kind of paired in with Metallica's early time. Um, he is responsible for Murder in the Front Row, which was for years it was a book, like a coffee table book about the Bay Area thrash bands, and but they've made a documentary, and the documentary is called Murder in the Front Row, which is just phenomenal if you want to check out the roots of thrash metal. But for us being metalheads, you're shunted to midnight on MTV for Headbangers Ball. Um, just few and far between. The '80s were just strangled with classic pop music. Um, we were kind of shunted, looked at as you had in the '80s, you had this almost a rash broke out of devil worship, um, uh, teenage possession, um, sacrificial cults, just this crazy, and they thought it was sweeping the nation, and they were very uh, small pockets of bored kids in the Midwest. Most
PM,
of us.
PMRC was the reaction to all
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. They fed the
Yeah,
bullshit, and
yeah.
they wanted you to. Oh my God, any kid with long hairs, uh, a devil worshiper. Um,
Took Judas
you
Priest
know,
to court. All
yeah,
kinds of
yeah. I
crazy.
mean, it was open season, and
Yeah,
so to go to a movie and hear this soundtrack, you had Hallows Eve, Slayer, Fate's Warning, Agent Orange, um, throughout the scenes with Crispin Glover riding around in this, you know, mutated Volkswagen Bug.
yeah.
It was just awesome.
His ride
You
is
were like,
pretty wild. Yeah,
and I remember going, dude, I would hang out with that guy. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I would
There were
totally
people like
know
that. There were people
that
like
dude.
that in high school.
Oh yeah,
Maybe not hopped up on speed, but that personality for sure. Yeah.
yeah. There were a couple guys in high school specifically.
You remember Angus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we got to talk about him, but go ahead and
A-
finish what you're saying.
Angus, yeah, we'll talk about. But no, there were a couple guys I won't mention
Yeah,
that were blazed out every day in high
right,
school.
right.
They could barely get words together, and I've seen them on Facebook. And one guy, it blew my doors. I had to double check. I'm like, that's him. Suit, tie, um, clearly a honeymoon photo or something, some smoking hot
Right.
whore in a really skimpy dress. And I'm like, look, that guy's, how did he, and it's got to be his parents.
The biggest stoner I knew in high
You know,
school was high school I went to first couple of years before I went to high school with you. This guy
North
named
Fulton.
Yeah, this guy named Wit, and he was a complete stoner. I run into him when we're in our 20s. I had a job at a software company. He's bagging groceries at Kroger.
Good.
And he was like, I really need to get my life together. And then about 6 years later, I hear he's a high powered corporate lawyer. So
Oh my God.
good for him, man, raking in the cash.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so there was this character similar to the character in River's Edge that Crispin Glover plays, named we called him Angus. He looked like a little Angus Young at our high school.
Oh
He
yeah.
used to
Yeah.
walk around with his guitar case everywhere, and he's disrupting one of the classes we were in. And the teacher comes over. She tries to shut the door, and he keeps sliding his guitar case in the door.
Yeah. So
she
she's
can't.
trying to shut the door and she keeps shutting it on his guitar
Yeah,
case.
that guy was a character. One of the funniest scenes I remember of Angus in high school is he's in line at the vending machines, and
Oh yeah.
they had this thing called there's this social custom at our high school called senior privileges. So if a senior came up to a line at a vending machine, you had to let the senior just walk up to the front of the line.
Yeah, now you've waited in line. You
Yeah,
lunch is almost over.
right.
You've got your change in your hand, and you might be counting it to make sure. And some senior smacks the bottom of your hand, so your change goes everywhere.
Well,
And
he's
then they say senior privilege,
yeah.
and they get in front of you and take the last soda. Now it's out of order.
So Angus has been waiting in line for like 10 minutes or whatever. This girl comes up and he's like a freshman. He's just little fucker, and with his sitting there with his guitar case and the hair bangs over his eyes. Adam's family looking motherfucker. And
Yeah, but total metalhead, blue jean
yeah, oh
jacket,
yeah,
shit all
his
over it.
dad was is widely known. His dad was a coke dealer, but so
Yeah.
he's
His dad
standing
drove a Lambo.
he's standing in line. This senior girl comes up. She's like senior privileges and tries to get in front of him, and he goes, "Fuck your senior privileges! I'll take your goddamn clothes off."
Yeah.
It just
And she stood
so
there just, but I'm a
she's
senior.
like this yuppie,
Uh,
type. She was just totally shocked. It was hilarious.
Somebody named Brittany or
Yeah,
Tiffany or,
one of the Buffy. Yeah.
you know, yeah.
But anyways, so
Oh,
there were people like that in high school. Yes, River's Edge was a great flick. Anything else to say about River's Edge before we move on to Twister, which is another essential Crispin Glover flick?
just the soundtrack was so amazing. You suddenly felt included to see your music up on the big screen. I mean, we had the animated heavy metal, and I started going to midnight movies with you back in high school, and some of those would be in the theaters of Pink Floyd, The Wall, but you just weren't used to seeing your music, in a movie. So this was a big one.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great flick. We'll drop the link in the click
Yeah.
bit. The next movie he was in was called Twister, and this is a weird one. This is where there's a few movies after he makes his mark in River's Edge that the roles were clearly written with him in mind. This is one of them. This is the story of an eccentric family during the event of a tornado hitting their rural Kansas home. The head of the family is Eugene Cleveland, who's brilliantly played by Harry Dean Stanton. He's hilarious in this.
Harry Dean Stanton's a,
Yeah,
a god.
yeah, we got to
Um,
do it. We'll do an up on him at some point. But he's in this one. Harry Dean Stanton is a soda pop and mini golf tycoon. So he owns a bunch of mini golf courses and a soda brand of soda pop. His two adult children are Maureen and Howdy. Crispin plays Howdy. They live with him in this mansion. And Maureen has a daughter named Violet, and they have a housekeeper named Lola. So Maureen keeps getting visited by her ex who wants to get back together with her, and she really doesn't want to get back together with him. Howdy is uh, he sits around in sunglasses and this wearing this weird suit, playing this bizarre music on his guitar. He has a bullwhip. He'll walk around the house and just be whipping things with his bullwhip. Complete,
Well, it's your classic rich kid,
yeah, not
they just get into stuff,
yeah, but
There's
he is a weird
oh,
twisted
sure.
rich kid
But
in this
I
thing.
mean, you watch the Osbournes and Jack
Oh yeah,
Osbourne's out back
yeah, yeah,
blowing shit up in the back. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's brilliantly represented.
Right,
All of these intense characters, and they're just oblivious to this end of the world typhoon hurricane outside,
right. And
and they're
so yeah, yeah, that's basically what it is. All this intense, weird stuff going on in the house while the world is falling apart outside. And
it's a great like even if it was a play, it's great that each actor became this strange person, and then they're forced to uh, coexist with this other personality throughout the house. Uh,
it would be a
it's
great stage play because it's all in one
Yeah,
setting. It's based on
yeah,
a
yeah,
book, but it would translate well as a stage play.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
the um, the one of the things that kind of moves the plot forward is their mother is estranged, and they find an envelope with her address. And Howdy and his sister decide to track her down. They go to the address, and she's not living at that house anymore, but William Burroughs is. And it's
Yeah,
obviously a character that William Burroughs is playing, but he's basically playing himself. So he's in the barn just blasting the hell out of some target with a big, I think it's a 357 Magnum, which Burroughs was known
yeah,
to do. And uh, that there's a scene where they're talking to Burroughs, and Burroughs tells them that their mother moved to Ireland. She sold the house to him and moved to Ireland. So then they're basically, I won't give away the ending, but that's kind of the direction they're going in. Bizarre movie, absolutely hilarious. That one right now is on Amazon. We'll drop the link to that in the click pit. Um, Anything else to say about that before we move on?
no, no. It's very funny. I know it's on Tubi, but Tubi plays like 6 billion
Yeah,
commercials
it's
randomly, so it just really, if you're anti-commercials, that's
it's
a tough one to
it's
get
on Amazon Freevee too. So yeah, you got to watch the commercials for that one. That was, but it's hilarious. Just have yourself
It is a damn good movie.
surf your cell phone during the commercials and watch it. It's great. And then the next one is Where the Heart Is. I think I saw that one actually. That was kind of one of those kind of melancholy comedy things. I saw that years ago. Wild at Heart is a crazy
That
movie.
was a great movie. Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, and that's one of the opening scenes. Was it Nicolas Cage who's bashing that guy's head on the staircase while there's some kind of speed metal in the background?
Yeah, Power Mad
Yeah,
3000 or something had this really catchy riff
yeah.
thing.
So
Great movie.
Harry Dean Stanton is in that one as well.
Yeah.
Um,
David Lynch.
yeah, oh yeah, the mighty David Lynch, definitely a subject for a future episode. But yeah, Crispin Glover as a small role as cousin Dell in that, doing his weirdness. Um, some movie called Little Noises, which stars Crispin Glover as an unsuccessful writer. Well, hell, we got to track that one down.
Yeah.
Um, the Doors, where he plays Andy Warhol. Ruben and Ed. Oh wow, I forgot about that one. Ruben and
Yeah.
Ed is hilarious.
Yeah.
So this
I
is,
remember that one.
yeah, Crispin Glover and Howard Hessman, co-starring Crispin Glover and Howard Hessman. That's another one of those bizarre ones. I highly recommend you
Yeah.
cats tracking that down. I didn't watch it again to prepare for this episode, but I just remember Ruben and Ed throughout the whole thing. I think it was Howard Hessman is or it's Crispin Glover. One of them is constantly trying to convince the other one to go to some seminar. He's like, you
Yeah, I don't remember. I do remember that, but
got to come check it.
no, as you go through, Crispin Glover's just brought just this intensity to every character.
Yeah,
Um, Not easily forgotten, but he doesn't have to be the main character. What I enjoy most about Crispin Glover is he's been in the business all these years and maintained a bit of seclusion. Like you don't hear some new sex controversy or new some divorce from some crazy bimbo. Uh, he's just does his job,
yeah.
and
Well, he's an artist.
you
He's a weirdo who just doesn't really hang out in the mainstream. Um,
yeah, it's just nice when someone you like isn't a fucking drugged out
yeah.
you know asshole.
Or always ranting about stuff on social media.
Yeah, trying to tell you who to vote for, and
We
yeah.
won't get into politics, but anyways.
No, no, we won't.
Um, so then, then he is in some other movies, even Cowgirls Get the Blues, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Dead Man, People versus Larry Flint. Charlie's Angels is the next big one. He's the main bad guy. He's the thin man in Charlie's Angels. You want to talk about
Yeah,
that
he
one?
rocked that.
Yeah,
I did not. I didn't see that movie thinking he'd be in it, and he was, and it was great.
yeah, he's
So
killer in that. And then the next one, hold on a second. I just got to see if Ruben and Ed is on Amazon because I gotta watch that again. Hold on a second. I know y'all are listening, and it's kind of rude of me to look it up while you're listening, but I don't care. It's that good of a
uh,
movie. Damn, it's not. I'll have to track it down. Anyways, if I find a link to Ruben and Ed, I'll put that in the click pit for you cats. Definitely worth watching again. Bartleby is the next one. I did watch this one again to prep for the episode. It is hilarious. Um, it's an adaptation of a Herman Melville short story, Bartleby the Scrivener, Herman Melville of Moby Dick fame. And this is about a guy who he gets a job. It's a modern adaptation set in modern times. But he gets a job in this office, and during the interview, the guy who is interviewing him is like, "So why'd you leave your last job?" And he goes, "Oh, the office moved." And he has this letter of recommendation, and it's just effusive with praise, almost to the point of being ridiculous. And the guy's like, "Hey, it's
right,
almost like your previous boss was trying to get rid of you." Ha ha. Well, he gets the job, and slowly, he's basically a file clerk, doing paperwork, and slowly he one task after another, the guy will ask him to do something, and he'll go, "I'd prefer not to," and to the point where, at, over time, it gets to where he's won't do anything, and he's just staring at this
right.
air vent above his cubicle, and they're like, "It's time to leave." They're leaving at the end of the day. "I'd prefer not to." And then he finds out he's actually living in the office and doesn't
Oh,
doesn't
nice.
have a house. It's
Got nowhere to go.
and Joe Piscopo is like Joe Piscopo is one of the office workers. He is hilarious in this thing. He's like
What happened to
I
Piscopo?
know, genius,
I
comic
mean,
genius.
he had his he was he was entertaining, like more so than other people.
Yeah, This
Uh,
is a bizarre movie though. Like the office windows outside of the office is a an alley with a dumpster. Just out of the
right.
background when they're talking in the office, right outside the office, they got a nice view of an alley with a dumpster. And one of the other office
Nice.
windows has a nice view of the inside of a parking garage. It's just a lot of bizarre details like that, but it's really funny. Joe Piscopo is hilarious. He's kind of the smartass office coworker. Highly worth watching. I highly recommend that. That's on Amazon. We'll drop the link. Let's see what was after Bartleby. Fast.
Well, you had the rat movie, Ben.
Well, we're coming up to that. We're coming up to that. I'm just looking at
Okay.
his on Wikipedia. Fast Sofa. Oh, I've seen that.
Oh, yeah, that's really
Yeah,
good.
Jake Busey. Yeah, that's a bizarre. Eric
Yeah,
Roberts. That's a bizarre one.
yeah.
And
No, that's in the movie poster. They're all sitting on a couch, I
yeah,
think.
no, that's Twister.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
Twister. No, but I saw Fast
yeah.
Sofa.
That's a bizarre one. And it's a good one.
Yeah.
Crispin's a supporting character in that one, but it is really good. Damn, he was in Crime and Punishment, starring Crispin Glover. Damn, I got to go see that one, starring Crispin Glover. I bookmark these ones that I haven't seen where they're freaking starring Crispin Glover. Little Noises was the other one. Hold on a second. Yeah, got to bookmark that one. And got to find Ruben and Ed. All right, so apparently he starred in an adaptation of Crime and Punishment. Um, is in a movie like Mike, the Michael Jordan Delio. Is it Michael Jordan? Some kind of basketball. Follows an orphan who gets basketball. Some feel good basketball movie called Like Mike. He's a supporting character. And then another opus Crispin Glover movie, obviously written for him, well, rewritten for him, is Willard, which is a remake of an early 70s horror movie about this
Yeah.
guy who befriends rats and uses the rats to attack his asshole boss. Um,
And that's a disturbing movie. The '70s one.
they both
Um,
are. I've watched them both within the
yeah,
last year.
yeah. I know Michael Jackson did the soundtrack for one of
Yeah,
them.
Ben, I think, which is the
Ben,
sequel. Yeah,
yeah,
but Willard was a perfect vehicle for Crispin Glover, and you could just tell like whoever decided to do this remake, they had him in mind from the start, and he's
yeah. I mean, you get a character like Crispin Glover. Uh, I mean, there are actors like that. You're gonna write a script and have Jack Nicholson in there, and at some point you're gonna have to go, okay, this is the lines in the script, but just kind of take this uh, motivation
yeah.
and you run
N-
it, you go with it. You know,
Nichols,
if I have Sidney Poitier in a movie, I'm just be like, dude, you just do you, you know.
I agree. Nicholson had bigger box office, but he had a similar career. You know, he had the big breakout role in Easy Rider, and then people just started writing stuff for him because
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
once he did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, that was it.
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, Willard, and if you watch Willard through the closing credits, you hear Crispin Glover's cover of Ben. So he did it as well.
Oh,
It's in
nice.
the credits for Willard.
Did not know
Yeah.
that.
Um, and Crispin's quite the Renaissance cat. You know, he's done a lot of stuff since Willard, but um, those are the big four that I would recommend are River's Edge, Twister, Bartleby, and Willard. And Ruben and Ned for sure. That'd be a second tier, and then
At close range, and I would even go his character in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Um, Standout performances by everybody in that
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's kind of a chick flick. I don't know. It's a strange enough movie though. What's Eating Gilbert
That was
Grape
Lost,
is a good movie.
Hallstrom or whatever that cat's name. Good filmmaker.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Crispin's done some other stuff too. He did an album. We'll link to the album in the click pit. Um,
Yeah, there's a playlist. It's got three standout tracks.
We're not gonna
Um,
do a playlist of 3 tracks, so we'll just link to the album. I mean, he
oh
just
yeah,
has one
right.
album, so um, let's see here. Let me pull up the deets on the album. Hold on a second.
So I worked at Tower Records, and while working there, we had a bookstore next to. It was part of Tower Records. They had a book department, and working in there, you're stocking books one day, and here's these two books, Oakmont and I forget the name of the other book, but they were both signed by Crispin Glover, and they were like um, almost like an older book where he's crossed out the text and added stuff on the page, or uh, cut words out and pasted them over. So these books you're flipping through, and they're just very abstract creations with his name on it, and I still have them. Um, so this album has studio stuff on it, but it also has him reading excerpts from both of those books.
Yeah, the album is called "The Big Problem Does Not Equal the Solution. The Solution Equals Let It Be," and it's on Spotify. We're gonna drop the link to it. It's totally worth listening to. Some really bizarre stuff. He's got a song called "Clowny Clown Clown," which is hilarious. Uh,
Yeah,
um, he just sounds.
I think that was that we played the hell
Yeah,
out of
we
that.
bought that album the minute it came out, and I remember listening to that on cassette,
Yeah,
just cracking up when Clowny. He's
yeah,
totally crazy. He's like, "I hate you, clown." It
yeah, and he's got a there's a rap song on there that's just
auto
ridiculous.
manipulator. I'm an auto
Yeah,
manipulator. I play with myself. I'm a masturbator. It's hilarious.
it almost sound again. You have captured. I almost thought you were playing the
Oh yeah,
song.
I'm that talented. Whenever I sing, yeah, yeah,
Resilience is
it's amazing.
it's
He
uncanny.
does a great cover of "These Boots Are Made for Walking." Just
Yeah,
totally, these boots are made for walking.
yeah. He plays the wounded,
That's just what
femme
they'll do.
fatale amazingly.
Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, that album is hilarious. And as Silky was saying, he's written some books. And just checking the wiki here, he claims to have published between 15 and 20 books. Oakmont and Rat Catching are the most.
rat
Yeah,
catching.
those are
That's
the
it.
most well known, if you could call them well known. He reads excerpts from these books. He basically, I'm on his email list once every year or so. I'll get an email that he's starting a new tour, and I have to go next time he comes to
You need to solicit him
Atlanta.
to be on our show.
We got to get that cat on the podcast. If anybody knows Crispin, hip him to the fact that we're doing a full episode on him right now, and we want to talk to him on the.
Yeah, I mean, if at this point if you've listened to this is our 24th
Yeah,
episode, you're going to start to realize that each subject we touch on is a subject that you should already
yeah,
know. Um, and if you don't, we're basically in a sense telling you 20 at this point 24 different subjects that you need to know to have a
yeah.
better
And there's an
life.
infinite,
So
as you'll find out if you know, if we live long enough and don't die in a car crash tomorrow, there's an infinite number of subjects that you're going to keep hearing about because we just don't shut up. We've been babbling like this for the last few decades. We've known each other,
yeah.
and finally we decided.
However, the things we talk about are things that you
Yeah,
need. I mean, we're here
finally
for you.
we
You
decided
know.
we should share them with the world because
Yeah.
that's just how we
Um,
roll. So here,
spreading the
yeah,
gospel.
so they list some other book titles on Wikipedia. Billow in the Rock from 1983. Who knows? Concrete Inspection. I'm sure these are like little vanity publications.
Yeah,
75
I did not
copies. I
know.
have copy number 57. But you have rat catching and Oakmont, so
Yeah, they're numbered too. I don't even know.
you're two steps
They're
ahead of the
boxed
rest of
up.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a wild cat. I don't know. What else we got anything else to say about Crispin?
No, I'm it's just a very enjoyable character. I admire the fact in all these years there's just been no controversy or, some typical Hollywood
Drama
um
BS. Yeah.
it just and maybe there has been, but I feel like he just uh almost like just somebody who he goes and does the job, and then when he's done, he's got a private life somewhere.
Yeah. We did know somebody.
And I
I
respect
don't know
that.
if this is true or not, but we knew somebody, a friend of ours, um, knew someone that out in LA that said he helped Crispin's girlfriend move out of the house when they broke up, and Crispin was being a real dick. But you're gonna be a dick, I suppose, if some guy's coming over helping your girlfriend move out.
Hey,
There you have it.
um, that's her loss.
The I guess one other thing to just to mention about Crispin, if you search Crispin Glover on Spotify, you'll find at least 20 songs that have been written about him. He's that interesting of a cat that at least
I'm glad you
at
mentioned that.
least
Yeah,
15 or 20 bands have written songs about Crispin Glover. He's just a bizarre cat. And
which would make a hell of an interesting playlist in
well, if you
itself.
want to put together a playlist, search all the songs written about him, add those to the album, and we will drop a playlist. You want to do that?
Yeah, I'll do that for
Uh,
all the listeners.
Silky
Absolutely.
rocks the
I
playlist.
don't claim to know these songs, so
Yeah,
this will be the one time where this isn't an
yeah.
educated.
This is just a list
Uh,
of shit people wrote about Crispin Glover because he's that wild of a cat. So
yeah.
there you have it. Oh, he
All
made a
right.
couple films too that he shows. Well, we got to mention this. So, in his live show, he reads from his books and he shows his films. Right. So, in 2005, he made a film called "What Is It." The only way you can see this is if you go see him live. It's a surreal. It's a
Nice.
surreal film featuring a cast of actors who all have Down syndrome, and so that's the first one. Um, and then his second film is called "It Is Fine, Everything Is Fine," and that stars writer and actor Steven Stewart, who has severe cerebral palsy. So there you have it. It's you got the Down syndrome movie, and then the cerebral palsy movie, and he's planning on making a third one that's part of the trilogy. But again, to see it, you got to go catch Crispin Glover live at a venue near you. So if you Google him, you can find his website, sign up for his mailing list, and he'll let you know when he's in town.
Yeah, that's
Anything else to say to these cats before we?
crazy stuff. I'll get this playlist together. All the songs about Crispin
And
Glover.
start it with the album, and then follow it with all the
Yeah,
songs about
yeah,
him.
that'll be the
Yeah,
first thing.
rocking and a rolling. I think we're good. I think we've knocked out another episode. We're on a new platform now. You might notice that Silky sounds better. He's not calling in via the phone anymore. We're also gonna be posting these podcasts on Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify. And as a result of those two things, we're not going to be dropping songs anymore, but we will always post a playlist. So if it's
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make extended playlists for each show that involves a band, so that you can hear about the band in the event that you never heard of a band that we do. After the show, you can go on and check out the playlist. And these playlists, I assemble them. Um, from experience, from you're into a band and you're like, all right, I want they have to know this song. These are assembled with the intent that if you've never heard of the band, you're going to hear why we're
And if
talking
you
about
have heard of the band, you're going to know which songs you should like the most.
it.
Yeah.
Right, and possibly not the songs that you liked
Yeah, no,
before.
then you're going to like the shit that's on the
You're going
playlist.
to realize why that song wasn't on
Right.
that list.
That's right, damn it. All right, so we got a couple more episodes planned. We won't say much about them, but we'll catch you cats on the flip side. Thanks for tuning in again. Remember,
Yeah.
snagsandsilky.com. Buy the merch and you know, enjoy life.
And tell get one other person that you know to check the site out. We're here for
Yeah,
you
if you
guys.
follow the podcast, tell a friend, hey, you got to hear these idiots. This is some of the most ridiculous stuff I've ever heard. All of this,
Yeah, they managed to take any subject and they make it
they did a
amazing.
whole
You know
episode on Peter Boyle. I mean, how crazy is that? So, yeah, no one does
exactly,
that.
and we've managed to follow that up with
No one
this.
does that. Starsky and Hutch episode,
No,
no one else does that. So,
no,
this is the only place you can find the rarefied. As far as culture, pop culture goes, our podcast is like premium brick of fine Marrakesh hash. It's like the Amsterdam quality stuff,
nice.
you know?
Uh huh.
So
Sure.
we'll leave it at that, and I'll break out the skull bong and
All
celebrate
right.
later.
Happy. This is our 24th
Happy
episode, everybody.
24th episode, everybody. So, all right. Peace out like a
All right.
motherfucker.